And we're back here on Bell and Company. And Libby keeps talking to me when we're in the breaks and on the air and yelling and screaming. What are you saying over there?
I'm saying you gave me a pill, now I'm loopy.
I know, you're a little crazy over there. All right. Well, anyway, we're back. We had that intro, and it relates to our guest, some of the things he does. He actually has press conferences covering a lot of this stuff. So why don't we jump right into the call right now? He's been waiting patiently. Hello there, caller. Are you on the air? I mean, are you there? You're on the air. Did I do that right? Hello. Maybe I didn't click him on.
Oops.
There he is. Hello, you're on the air with us here on Bell and Company. Is this Patrick?
Yes, sir. Mario, can you hear me?
There we go. I'm still learning. I've only been doing this 30 years. This is a new, I usually don't do my own operations here, the audio equipment, so I'm getting used to it.
Okay.
So anyway.
Thank you for having me on the show, Mario. Thank you, Libby.
Yes, no problem.
Did you hear our intro, some of the stuff we were talking about? And I mentioned that you probably did a press conference about some of the stuff.
I sure heard everything you said. Yes, I did. As far as those press conferences go, I do a lot of those concerning a lot of, the violence in the city, what have you. I've done over 70 press conferences, organized them since 2022.
Let me officially introduce you. You're Patrick J. Gibbons, correct?
That's correct.
I got the name right. And Libby was asking if maybe you're related to the funeral home people.
I like your sense of humor. No, but I heard that people are dying to get in.
Yeah, right. Well, no, because that's a big chain of homes. In fact, I worked with one of their family members at a TV station years ago. He was from Elmhurst. So that's not that's not connected to you.
No connection. Probably distant cousins.
What is your background? Let's talk about that. You don't just do PR for politicians. What else do you do?
Well, before I got into this political circus, I was just
a circus. He says, I like that.
Yes. Your average Chicagoan. I minded my own business. I played sports like any kid. I'm 42 years old, so I was born in '83. 80s baby, so out there playing sports like fast-pitch baseball, basketball, roller hockey. And back then, the neighborhoods were very safe. I would say a lot safer than today. I lived in Belmont-Cragen my whole life.
No, I'm from Austin, Irving Park.
So Chicago, North Side. Same with, Libby's North Side, too.
Right. And, around that area.
Yeah.
So... It growing up, it was nice. I went to Faulkner Elementary, Irving Park Middle School. When it existed, it doesn't exist anymore. I heard they turned it into a Disney school.
Oh, really?
I don't know. When you get older, things kind of disappear. I was born in Ravenswood Hospital. That doesn't exist anymore.
Wow.
No. And I went to Foreman High School, college. I went to Wright College. A little bit of Northeastern, and then I went to, I always worked 2-3 jobs, and then I couldn't finish my bachelor's. I always wanted to, though. That's one of my major goals, to finish.
You wouldn't happen to be a Cubs fan?
Huge Cubs fan.
It's amazing how our city splits up. New York does it. I guess L.A. does it, too. The big cities have multiple teams do it, but we really do. We fight with each other.
That's crazy.
We act like we're from different cities if we're a Cubs fan or a Sox fan,
Right. I hope Reinsdorf never sells the team. He keeps threatening that he's going to sell the team, I hope he never does that, because that kind of takes away a part of Chicago. Even though I like the Sox, I got to tell you, I don't, but I like the rivalry, When it comes down to that, that's the mystique of it. When you have that inter-league series, the Sox and the Cubs, it kind of brings everybody together at the table, Kind of like if you're a conservative or a liberal, it doesn't matter. You come to the table and watch a baseball game. Mm-hmm. So
that would be nice if we actually did that like that. Anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt your background. So you said you didn't finish college, and then you were about to say something else.
I didn't finish college, but I did a ton of security work, and then I went to the post office. I've been working at the post office for many years, and I kind of just stayed there.
So you know about the government, the bureaucracy involved in it.
I do. It's a lot of politics, even in the post office. You know, we're run by a union, and you know, it's largely Democrat. Obviously, unions are, and it's interesting. You know, I have to be honest. I am a Republican, but being a Republican in a city where you're kind of outnumbered, you kind of, you know, you don't want to say too much for survival purposes. Just like if you were a Republican in CPS, you know, because you know it's just people hold that against you, like I don't know, like you have some disease or whatever.
At least in Cook County and Chicago, we definitely are the minority. If you're a Republican. You know what's funny about it? At the end of the day, I always say this: whenever we're talking politics, at least on the federal level, they all go to the same clubs together. They go to the same steakhouse together. They sit in the same areas. Obviously, during the day they're partisan, but at night, I think
it's like WWF wrestling.
I was going to say it's all kind of behind the scenes. It's it's different than real life. You know, they definitely get together at night.
Yeah, that's it. Politics is very much like wrestling, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Does that happen in Chicago? Yeah, if you're a Democrat, right? It happens in Chicago if you're all Democrats. I get what you're saying.
Right. Republicans, the problem with Republicans, you know, they fight very well against each other, you know, in the primary. They claw, you know, they do everything they can. They put everybody's dirty laundry. They put it up online, and whoever wins, right? But they don't do that same intensity against the Democrats. If they save that energy, you know, with that type of fight, they might win a few elections. It's like they kind of, I don't know what it is. Do you think that applies to?
Do you think that applies to just Chicago and Cook County or the whole country?
I feel that there's a lot of Republicans that sits on their couch that don't want to vote. For instance, the evangelicals, the Christians, they're great people, you know, but they don't want to vote. I have a lot of friends that are evangelical. They just don't want to go out there and vote. And I feel that there's so many Republicans, and we outnumber Democrats. They just don't care to vote. They don't care to get out there. I know people that's conservative in nature that hasn't voted in 30 years, 40 years. They just don't care. They say, what's the use? My vote doesn't count. And also, they look at the candidates. I mean, it's not really spectacular candidates. They look like perennial candidates, which they are. They lose political race, one after another. And after a while, you're like, should I really vote for a Bob Fioretti or a Caparelli or whatever? Because these are Republican names, by the way, that has been in different elections.
You've actually helped those candidates, correct?
Yes, I did. I've had press conferences with Mr. Fioretti, and currently I'm trying to get signatures for Caparelli. Caparelli is trying to be a senator, Republican, and
are there any Republicans in local government in Cook County or Chicago? I could think of only one.
They have their own group called the Chicago GOP, which is committeemen. I don't know if they're elected positions, but they're not like state rep, commissioner, stuff like that.
They're a party. That's for the party. I get that. I'm talking about in state, state and local and county elected offices like, a mayor's, alderman and stuff like that. I don't think there are any. Right.
Commissioner, Commissioner Sean Morrison, I believe, is in the 17th district. That's one out of, it's hard to find any of them really.
So do you help both parties, or do you mostly, these conferences I've seen you do are mostly issues, not necessarily political candidates though, right? Like you were talking about the crime in Chicago in one of them.
See, what I try to focus, and this is very important, Mario, I try to focus on the topic. I don't try to focus on politics. If there's Republicans or Democrats within the press conference, that's not the focus. I don't want people to lose focus. So I would go out there, for instance, I did a press conference on Kira Coase. The poor girl has been missing for 6 years. She was a mail carrier. She was pregnant at the time. And the press conference I organized, we're trying to call out the FBI to investigate this because this girl is a federal worker.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that.
Yeah. Praise God that day later, the FBI got off their butts and they're actually investigating the case. Now, Kira hasn't been found yet, but at least it's a step forward. And this was a couple of years ago. And I had all Democrats surrounding me, you know. And I didn't mind. I didn't care. As long as I get the topic out there. You know, that's another thing that politicians, they think too much about their political affiliation, their organization. Who cares about that? Step that aside, focus on the community, you know.
You sound like Bernie Sanders.
Do you think we've become but Senator Sanders is pretty partisan, I would think, too, though.
But he focuses on the issue.
He tries to talk about the issues. Do you think that it's gotten worse in modern times, like in, I don't know, the last 20 years, or you think it's always been like that, especially in Chicago and Cook County, like where it's partisan and you're lucky to have an issue and where it doesn't go party lines?
It has either been very left or very right. There's no in the middle. Unfortunately, there's no compromise. For instance, I tried to bring that to the table. I went for alderman. It was a crazy idea. I don't know why I did it, but I did it. You know, and then I didn't make the ballot because it's very difficult to make the ballot in Cook County, and that's a story for another day. Mm-hmm. I had a press conference where I was going against this one guy. His name is Esteban Bergoa. I invited him to the press conference, and we were going against Felix Cardona in the 31st Ward. And we were both talking about this issue where a young man was shot 3 times. It was at night. He was waiting for his wife so he can walk the dog at 3 a.m. in Belmont Cragen. It was a pretty big story. And all the news stations came out, and it was nice. You know, we weren't thinking about going against each other, me and Esteban. We were talking about let's find the murderer, and we're offering a reward.
So you did do something. That's the second incident that you're discussing, where it was more of a nonpartisan, where both parties are working together, even though it's Chicago and Cook County. Right.
See, I feel it's like automatic. You kill it like death if you say that I'm 100% Trump, MAGA, and all that stuff. You know, then you're turning people off. You don't want. That's not the right way of approach. You know, whatever you are, keep it to yourself, and let's hope for the better for our society. That's what I say. But I'm not really out there to piss people off. I'm trying to get things done. You're trying to work with people. And, you know,
that makes total sense.
Yeah, that's just me. I mean, that's just like human nature at work or during Thanksgiving, you know, when your whole family comes and here comes that liberal uncle of yours, that conservative.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to talk to her, but I love her at the same time. Let's hope we talk about something else, you know?
Talk about sports, right? That's why we do sports. It's kind of well, then you got an issue of where you're from, but at least it's not left and right politics stuff.
Don't talk about religion either.
Yeah, religion, politics. But so you mentioned a little bit ago 70 conferences that you've done. Have they all been? Have some been political candidates? Then it sounds like, or have they all been for issues?
I try to invite activists. I try to invite political candidates. I try to invite people that are in office already. And the focus is always something to do with crime, homicides. There was a few on migrant shelters. There was a few on bringing back the Christopher Columbus statue. I worked with Frank Coconati for a while with a few press conferences. In fact, he was the one that got me into this political circus.
How long have you been doing that? I meant to ask that earlier too. How long has it been that you've done? You know, how many years has it been that you've managed to do 70 of them, press conferences?
Well, since 2022, May of 2022. And Coconati was the guy that got me into this. He told me how to write out a press release. I would follow all of his moves, you know, how to do a certain twist in a press conference, because you can't just say, we want to bring back the Christopher Columbus statue and it's not at a Regal Park. That's all fine and dandy. But, make a twist to it. We've been waiting for so many years, you know. And a
gentleman that works that comes on the station and has the theater. You know, he was involved with that. Ron Onesti was involved with that cause.
I've I've never met Ron Onesti. I know him and Coconati had a little spat between them. Coconati thought Onesti should have fought a little harder. In fact, Onesti promised that, I'm not going to talk bad about Onesti, I'm just going to say the facts. There's supposed to be a Italian Sports Hall of Fame on Harlem Avenue, right? And that Italian Sports Hall of Fame was supposed to be opened a long time ago, Mario, like 5 years ago.
Oh.
And they had a ribbon cutting. Onesti, Nick Sposato, the 38th Ward Alderman, that it's going to open. They had that ribbon cutting earlier this year. That place looks still condemned. It's still condemned.
Jeez.
And there's a statue called Joe DiMaggio, great baseball player.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's nothing racist about Joe DiMaggio. You can say, okay, Christopher Columbus, ABCD, I get that, but Joe DiMaggio, what's wrong with that guy?
Nothing.
He didn't do anything to nobody. No, nothing.
He married Marilyn Monroe. I don't know what's wrong with him, right?
There you go. That statue should have been brought back from its original spot, which was on Taylor Street, to it was taken away from Taylor's, and then it went into some basement in Elk Grove Village, and that's where it's at now, collecting dust. That statue is supposed to be in the Italian Sports Hall of Fame on Harlem Avenue.
Oh, I see.
And Coconati, he video, a Facebook Live video, which I posted, a lot of people saying it, he said, basically, in his words, that it was stolen by Onesti and an attorney by the name of Enrico Mirabelli. And he said that statue was a gift from Anheuser-Busch to Mayor Richard Daley, the kid Daley. And
right.
It was supposed to be a gift for the city of Chicago. And Onesti personally took that statue and he put it into a basement in Elk Grove Village. And he promised people that statue would be back, including the Christopher Columbus. Well, no statue is back. There's no statue that's back. And that Sports Hall of Fame on Harlem Avenue, it's not open. It hasn't been open for years.
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of
Interesting.
sleazy.
Well, I'm not going to say anything bad about it. I'm sure that he's working to get it back open, and I hope he is, because I want to see it. I thought there was another one that a guy named Don Figarelli ran, but that might have been a whole different type of museum. He used to be on a radio station I worked at in Berkeley, Illinois, WJJG, and he had one. I don't know if it's the same one, though, because it wasn't on Harlem. It was like in Roselle or something, this museum. But you know what? This was not just Italian. This was sports. But anyway, we've run out of time for our segment. Thanks again for joining us,
Thanks.
Patrick. And we'll have to have you back again.
Yeah, it was fun.
And we'll be back after this here on Bell and Company right here on WRMN.
All right.
Bye.